And hello, folks. This is your old pal, Uncle Al. Some days it just drives you nuts. This is, I think, Wednesday's chats. I'm doing it I can't remember, but I'm recovering from, I didn't take those doses yet, from medication. The last 2 days, it just blottoed me. I could only write down comments on certain videos. Some videos I just watched, and if I had enough strength, I just answered everybody else. Okay, first thing, do not put wet food in Mylar bags. Okay? Two, a lot of beginning preppers are screaming, buy guns, buy guns, buy guns. Quit that. All right? Should have bought a crossbow and get a whole bunch of crossbows and arrows. A lot of people are stupid. Okay? Want to get a nice AR? Wade, load it up, put a hunting tip on it. Better yet, Uncle Alan bolts one. Whatchamacallit? I can't say it because YouTube will take more hours away from me. But it's called odds boxing. It's a special type of crossbolts used against knighted armor, and it has a if you watch Todd's workshop, it has a fairly lethal point on it. Okay, you get hit with that. Doesn't matter if you wear a bulletproof vest, if you wear a plated vest. It's like getting hit with a chisel, pounded by a sledgehammer. All right, so you're waving around whatever wonder weapon you got. You're not arrow-proof in the head. You're not bolt-proof in the eyeballs. And one goes up your nose or throat, that's your fault. And Uncle Alan goes on like, you want to buy a plate carrier? You want to buy the weapon, whatever I could get. And I didn't have to spend a dime. I only have to spend for the odd bodkin. I can make it myself if I have a machine shop and some oak. And it's a 2-veiner. Anybody who shot bow and arrow knows what I'm talking about. So it doesn't have a big spin. It just goes, and then, when you hear like into the eyeball. Wait, let me show you what it looks like. Richard the First. Okay, now if anybody noticed Richard the First, Lionheart, he got one right in the eyeball and he dropped like a rock. A lot of people didn't know that. Okay, when the crossbow was its highlights and the high points of the Middle Ages, they tried to ban it because it was an unchristian thing. So they said, fine, we'll make odds and bodkins. It doesn't have a point. It just had a chisel tip, like an ice pick, oversized on steroids. So, let me see if I still have it right here. Maybe not. Still got it. Imagine something like this, 3 times the thickness, or 5 times the thickness, flying through the air. I don't think you want one of these. Okay? So what you do is you buy yourself a nice crossbow, learn everything about it, and just quietly sit around and smile. And I don't have any firearms. You have 300 bolts or arrows. You could always make arrows. It's fairly simple. You need a lathe and a few odds and ends. And if you got playing cards, presto, you got beans. And people says, well, that won't kill anybody. I showed a lot of people it will. And if you think you could outshoot Uncle Alan with a crossbow, think again. I'll give you a fair chance. 30-round clip. You go whatever kind of, jumping around. I'm Rambo, I'm dead. Okay? Not kidding around. A lot of places, that's how they get weapons. To shoot the idiots with a homemade crossbow and like, oh, I got this AK-47. How? I shot the idiot waving around with it. They do it in Africa. They do it all over before it quiet down, Southeast Asia. And I think they still do it in Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia. That's how you get the weapons. You shoot the idiot with a crossbow. Okay? 2. I keep seeing preppers dip cheese in wax. Stop doing that. You have to understand cheeses. It comes in 3 forms. The spreadable, that's farmer's cheese, and then you have a soft cheese and a hard cheese. Each of them, they have to be cured. Fromage, for people who don't speak French, that's curing the rind, the outside skin. Now, I've seen idiots, I'm going to lose hours for that. I use the I'd word again. It's habit forming, Kentucky survivalist. You cannot just dump cheese into red wax or black wax. Each wax are supposed to be certain types of cheeses. Now, the book I gave to, and she sent me a nice card. My hands are cold. I can't pick up anything. A nice Christmas card from, Patriot Homestead. And she wishes me a happy Christmas and I hope I feel better because I'm taking the medication once a week. And I just got my box. For one stinking week, it's toxic. And I have to jab into my thigh. And it has a needle that big. So, think again when you're jabbing something that big into your thigh. Does that hurt? And hold it for 5 to 10 seconds until you go, click. Okay, back to cheeses. Center book on cheese and butter. If you're doing ghee, make sure after you can it while still hot, cap it and water bath it for a few minutes so you get a proper seal. Why? If you don't get a proper seal, the ghee goes bad. Keep telling this to people. They all look at me like I kicked them in the nads. Okay? When you're doing ghee or duck fat or tallow, it has to be sealed. Now, there's ways to do pressure sealing that. I won't tell you. Go ask Tammy of Rebel Canners because ghee, duck fat, and tallow has a different, because I live in the valley about 12 feet above sea level, I have different pressurization rates, and you have to be careful. It has to maintain a temperature of 220 degrees for at least 30 minutes or less, depending what kind of fat you're canning. Do not do this to lard. You could do this to coconut oil if you know what you're doing. If you don't, please do not, and ask somebody who does. I always ask an agricultural extension. If they don't know, go ask their supervisor or a food specialist. Okay? Okay, back to cheeses. You have a whole bunch of soft cheeses with Orion. Okay, that's where you get the blue cheese and the spreadable one, and you got the stinky cheese and stuff. Each has a certain decay rate and mold. The rind, okay, the hard outside shell, takes, you can't make, I've seen these videos. If I see another one, I'm going to slap the living daylights out of them. Okay, what you get at the store, if it doesn't say real cheese and you read it, and you better understand how to read these food labels, because I've seen too many people, well, I dumped cheese in wax and I threw it outside in the woods at 105 degrees. Okay, it has to stay below 70 degrees in a cool temperature, and the wax product has to be dipped 3 or 4 times. You have to have a rind, harder outer shell of the cheese. Now, I've seen people take shortcuts and wrap it in cheesecloth. They didn't do the vinegar method with mother of vinegar. Okay, that puts lactobacteria into the cheese and cause it from decaying. Because I've seen people like, I opened it up and it was totally black and gory and horrible. No kidding. Okay, easiest one you want to start is goat's cheese. Now, there's a lot of stores that will tell you if you buy a brick, they say this is real goat cheese or real cow cheese. And yes, you can wax it once you get Orion or do the lacto acid with mother vinegar with cheesecloth and dip it. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And you have to age it properly. Okay, that's where you get the red wax and that's where you get the black wax. Best one to age easily for most people, the store-bought is cheddar. You want a natural, real cheddar, and that way you could do it. If you do a store-bought and you don't know anything about fromage or cheeses, don't do it. A lot of these YouTube channels are idiots. I'm going to lose more watch hours for that one, but it's true. Okay, so be careful when you do it. Take a class, read a book, and practice. Remember, the cheeses that you buy at the store isn't real cheese. It's a processed kind of God knows what. Okay? Goat cheese is the easiest. Second hardest is cow's cheese. Cow's cheese takes a different fromage. You have to use black wax, not red. And you have to know what it smells like. Because cow cheese stinks like hell. And you've got to know the fragrance of each section of fromage when it decays. Because a lot of people don't know how to do this right. And I'll see a cheese wheel and like, God, you better bury that out in the back 40. Okay? Now, listen very carefully and understand this. Cheese making is an art. It's not something you pick up on a YouTube video for 15 minutes. Yeah, we know how to make real cheese. No, you don't. Okay? Now, like I said, Patriarch Homestead did a lot of work and a lot of study, and she got it right. And I watch over her and I give her hints and stuff. Now, if you're doing cheese and you bought this big block of cheese, now in the old days, when I used to get one from my friends who were on Section 8 and they got this block of cheese, that was real government cow cheese, and we can wax it. And I showed them how to do it. You put it in a cheesecloth, you dip it in mother vinegar, and then you wait until it dries, dip it again, wait until it dries, and then you dip it in the wax because it has to seal. Okay? They did it. I told them, did you do it 3 or 4 times? No, we only did it once. I look at it, it's full of crap. So we peeled it up. You're eating cheese tonight. You have to dip it in wax 3 or 4 times. That wax seal has to be thick. Okay? If you do it wrong and if there's any breakage in the wax, your whole cheese goes bad. Okay? Then you have to find a cool place, like a root cellar, or a smoker, or a cool cabinet. A lot of people don't know what a cool cabinet is and know how to do that. Now, I heard other people, you can preserve food in shavings. Yes, it's called cedar shavings, and you got to know how to do it right. You just can't go in the sawmill like, hey, give me some pine shavings. No, it doesn't work like that. It has to be cedar or apple or a mixture of the two, because a lot of people don't understand. Well, we did everything the YouTube video did. I don't have the strength anymore to go over to their house and just slap them behind the head. All right? I tell a lot of people, you're going to be salting a lot of foods. You're going to be liming a lot of foods. You're going to be smoking and drying a lot of foods. And people look at me like I kicked them in the nads. Yeah, this is do or die. This is why Uncle Alan retired from all the ag stuff. I'm getting too old. I live comfortably, and I'm going to my next phase. Okay? And that's coming in part 2. So I'll see you later. This is part 1 for Wednesday, and I'll see you in part 2. And you have a Merry Christmas, folks. Remember, when you do stuff like this, be very, very careful. And don't believe everything you see on YouTube. Merry Christmas, folks. Have a nice night.